This is 20 Minutes Live. Welcome to all of you from India and around the world. I'm Ninath Karpe, partner at 100x.vc. Today I'm really delighted as our today is R. Balki. R. Balki barely needs any introduction. He has been associated with the communication and entertainment business for more than 3 decades now. Balki began his career with Mudra at the age of 23 and later on moved to Lintas and became the advertising industry's youngest chairman and chief creative officer. Subsequently, Balki was the chairman and chief creative officer of Low Lintas India. His entertainment career began with movies in 2007 when he wrote and directed Chini Kam. And he followed that up with writing and directing Pa, Shamitab, Ki and Ka, and Padman. I'm sure all of you have seen at least 2 or 3 of these movies. He's also producer of English Winglish and writer and co-producer of Mission Mangal. Balki continues to believe that he has been in the same business all along, the business of engaging people with stories, short and long. Our format is simple, crisp, and unique. It is in fact short. We will be here with Balki for 20 minutes. I will start off with asking Balki a couple of questions. And please don't wait, viewers. You can ask Balki questions by just putting it in the comments column on your screen. And after a couple of minutes of my discussion with Balki, I'll take them up. So again, Balki, thank you for accepting our invitation. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
First question, I'm sure it's then a lot of people's mind. This present crisis, is it a big existential threat to the film industry as you know it?
It's not just to the film industry. To a lot of people, it's just us. There are two sides to it. One is us being able to go out and work, and the second is for people to go out and see our work. So it's a double thing. But I'm sure it's the case for a lot of industries, just not the film industry. The film industry a little bit more maybe, just because I think people have to go out to kind of watch us. They have to sit in those environments, which may not be the safest right now, as we see in kind of closed halls. So in the short term, yes, it is, but it's not an existential threat. I don't think it's an existential threat.
So from the silver screen, as we all call film industry, always loves to say silver screen and they love it. And we all love it so much. To a small mobile screen, how will the industry adapt?
We still think it's silver, so it's fine. So we always look at anything. So I don't think the screen is kind of matter, because I think it's for a long time right now. I think a lot of people have watched things on television or on platforms. It's just not because of this crisis. Even before that, people have been watching it on the OTT platforms. So I feel that, I think we're used to it now. It's about telling interesting stories regardless of the format. So it's almost like communication has become format neutral in a strange kind of way.
Right. Okay. Communication has become format neutral. Great.
I think entertainment has to be. If you even see the great stuff from the Game of Thrones to take billions and take all the series that are coming, they're all massive productions, but they're all OTT platforms. So it's not necessary that you always need a large screen. But of course, the experience of that is very different. But we can process both very well. People enjoy both.
Okay, great. Balki, you're a creative person and we love to see your creativity in action. Tell me, as creative people, this is a moment of a lot of heightened emotions, people are going through. Does this lead to a lot more creativity? Will we see in a year down the line, 2 years down the line, a lot of creativity in the film industry and other industries connected to the kind of crisis which is happening now?
I'm not sure of that, because I've not been able to write a word during this stuff. I'm not sure a lot of people have been doing, because I just feel somewhere, I think most people, it's just not creative people. Most people are creative, but those people in the entertainment business, I think somewhere, this strange kind of philosophical thought enters your head that what we're doing is so meaningless compared to what is really going on in the world. So somewhere, once that bug comes to you, then you're not very excited by a lot of things that you do. It takes a lot to push yourself to be excited by a lot of things that you do. And that's what we've all been trying to push ourselves, though we know it's very, very it's absolutely meaningless in the space the world is in right now. Yeah.
Yeah. In the larger scheme of things, focuses on
Yeah,
health. You're right.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, Balki, imagine we are now discussing a post-COVID situation, maybe hopefully months away, or if not more. How do you think theaters will react? Will audience come back to the theater? Will audience want to see? There would be a time of at least 6 to 9 months when they have not gone into a theater. Will they want to see at home only, or will there be a mix of the two, or do you think a new model will emerge? Just put yourself forward. Let's say 2021.
Um, See, nobody can go out there and say this is what will happen, that's not what will happen. But I suppose when the theaters do open, uh, a lot of people will go. But yes, there are a lot of people also who will be hesitant. But I think the hesitancy will slowly go away. I think in 1 year, provided this whole thing stabilizes and provided the fear of it is now lessened, I'm sure in 1 year you will find the theaters back to normal
Okay.
as it was. But also, I think this the OTT theaters, I call them the OTT theaters, not platforms. The
Right.
.com theaters are also going to be a significant players. They are not going to be a support players as they were. They're going to be significant players. So your theaters are going to be both online and offline from now. So actually going to be an even distribution. It's a really fascinating stuff. And I always tell people, I want to see a film actually releasing today on PVR.com, Inox.com, Amazon.com, and Netflix.com. I want to see, these are all theaters. Actually, for people, they're
Right.
all theaters. They're nothing more than that. So theater is a space where you screen some entertainment. So it's like that. It's your malls, it's your shops, and you have the e-shopping experience. Exactly the
Right.
same thing's going to happen. How does each one? What does each one do to survive? What does each one do to make it more attractive, or to keep drawing people to that particular way of seeing things? Is up to us. It's got nothing to do with a destiny that's written for us. It's all about what we do going forward.
Sure. Great. So, questions have started pouring in. So I'll stop
Yeah.
asking my questions and take some from viewers. Sonali is one of your fans. She's asking you, do you see yourself making movies for the OTT platform, pure OTT platform?
I hope I can make more films for the theaters, because right now most films are being made only for the OTT platform. So whatever film we make may end up on the OTT platform. But yeah, why not? It's very exciting to do, because some of the best writing is happening on the OTT platforms. If you take Hollywood, I think all the good writing is happening on the OTT platforms. If you take a lot of the other countries, yes, India also, it's slowly the good writing is moving on to the OTT platforms. So I think it's a very exciting space to be in.
So Jignesh is from a tech industry, and he's asking from a technology perspective, what are your thoughts on making the small screen more immersive? Uh, do you think it will happen, or do you think it's good for the
Would
industry?
you What do you mean by more immersive?
Uh, well, I guess he has not asked, but maybe audience can react to something on the fly while a story is going on, or so he's just asked immersive. Uh, but
Oh,
is there
immersive.
some
Like you get a lot more immersed in it. That's what you're saying. Um,
yeah, immersive.
yeah,
I
I
M
think
M E
no.
asked it.
I think it's both. I mean, you go to the theater, you're immersed, and it all depends on the content. I don't think you'll shift out of anything that you're watching, which is interesting, whether it's a live cricket match or whether it's a series that's going on. If it's interesting, people watch together. In fact, a lot of couples, that is the bond actually. The what do you call the cheating in relationships is almost become like you watch an episode before me. That's become like cheating in relationships. So it's a there are it's a great bond for people, and anything which is interesting will be immersive. I don't think it's online or offline.
Right. Great. So anything which is interesting, and you're in the business, as you say, of telling stories. So Ashish Ved is asking, uh, is there, do you feel it makes sense to make condensed versions of long serials? So rather than having the long episodes of, so many episodes, is there a view? For example, I don't know if you heard of this app. I'm not promoting the app, called QB, QUIBI, which does the 7 minute kind of episodes of stories. Is the future over there of shortened, or still the long storytelling will continue?
Uh, See, I think a lot of the long formats happened originally through they used to drop in every week. We are now watching all of it together. We are watching, like, say, 9 episodes of 1 hour each together. All of them were designed actually to drop in week after week after week, or on not to be watched like that. But what happened to us is we got a lot of those series all together, and so we've started this entire. Even we've started to launch. Content almost like 9 episodes or 10 episodes. But uh, I think somewhere in this world where they keep saying their attention span is so less and all this stuff, it's fascinating to see people watching 8 hours, 9 hours at a stretch with characters they're so involved in, and stories and relationships that people are kind of rooting for, and it's almost become like part of their family. A lot of series, a lot of things that are going on. So there's so much of involvement in the series. I'm not sure they just want to know the story. I think they want to know they want to get their experience. So I'm not sure of these 7 minutes and 8 minutes, because if it could be done 7 minutes, 8 minutes, most platforms would do it in 7 minutes, 8 minutes. They wouldn't waste 40. And if our platforms actually feel that people are feeling very bored in the 40 minutes, they will edit it out, because they're very, very aware of what's happening. So I think there is something in this whole thing of watching long stuff and getting really involved if it's fascinating.
Sure. So there are one or two questions, and I'm trying to paraphrase them. They surround in saying that when COVID hit, let's say film industry, any industry now, specifically film industry, obviously everyone was in a state of shock, and now people are trying to see, at least in the short term, what can you do. Long term things will come back to a new normal. Will this present crisis lead to some significant long-term good changes for the industry, which were required otherwise?
Uh, yeah, of course. I think uh, efficiency. I really feel efficiency will improve. Costs will have to come down a bit.
Right.
I think costs in a lot of areas, from remuneration to production to everything, will have to come down a bit. I think safety and safety precautions of people will be on top. I'm just not saying as far as the virus is concerned. Even when you're doing other things which require safety precautions, all of that will kind of go up in people's heads. I think I think we will be a lot more planned
Right.
in the things that we do. I think the planning will be very, very meticulous. It has to be.
Right.
So
So
the good
great.
things will happen that way.
Sure, sure. Yes, hopefully a lot of good things will happen. There's a question from Narayan Pasari. He's asking, do you feel that long formats will be more popular in rural India compared to urban India? Long formats of entertainment?
No, no, not at all. I think urban, rural, all of us are same. The issue is all about what, again, we find interesting. There are some kind of long formats that some people find interesting. I don't believe in this rural urban divide at all. We're all people.
Okay.
Sometimes we all like everything. Sometimes some people, because of their upbringing or their exposure, like a few things. Some people like, because of their exposure, a few other things. So it's just about that. But a lot of people like the same thing. That's the beauty of India. In fact, a lot of films you find rural urban divide. A lot of people like the same thing.
So Yogesh is probably connected to the film industry. His question is, OTT platforms do not allow for participation in overflow, of income like a theatrical release. Is that a constraint for producers to create movies for OTT?
um Not at all, because I just think uh, they've got a they get a fair deal right at the beginning. Yes, I think you'll have to kind of work within budgets, because the budgets are going to be lesser than what you can recover theatrically, for sure. But it's going to be marginally less. Uh, but the thing is not so much in the recovery model as much as really how it's going to go in the future. In the future, for example, if it's a pay-per-view kind of a model, I think you will get into the same theater business of recovery and sharing of revenue and everything else. So it won't just be a flat fee. It will be actually a fee plus a recovery model on pay-per-view. So if that becomes the norm, then you have a very, very almost a near theater model.
So you alluded to the fact of, this crisis might lead to some changes in efficiency. There are one or two questions connected to that, probably follow-up questions. They're comparing Indian film industry to Hollywood, saying that are they more organized? They have insurance, they have finance available, organized. Payment to stars as compared to total cost is not that much. So many things are missing. Specifically, questions on the finance side, insurance, finance. Do you think these things will change once this is done, or it's still work in progress that we reach the standards
No,
which
it's
Hollywood is at?
no, I don't think it's the standard. You can't call it the standards because we operate in very different environments. Our recovery models are very different. Hollywood has the whole world to recover money from. We don't. We have India and a bit of the diaspora across the world. So we are by no way global as yet. We are far away from being global. We can't quote two, three examples of our films and call ourselves global. We can't. So I think our recovery models, our economics always dictate what we can do and what we can't do, and we're managing, and we are pretty professional for the economics that we have actually
Sure.
today.
So this is a question on VFX and 3D animation industry.
Yeah.
Pravir, who's connected to the industry, is keen to know your views. Will demand increase for all this? What's your view in future?
I think huge. I think what is really going to change is the amount of things that you can do, not on set. You can create so many things that we are now building. We're trying to do on camera. A lot of it's just not that we can. We may have to, because that's the most efficient way to be. We don't have to spend so much labor kind of constructing a lot of things. It can be really easily created on the computer. So there are so many things that can be redesigned, can be crafted with more efficiency, with less labor. I'm not sure of the costs as yet, but I think it won't be a lot more than what we are spending already. But efficiency-wise, I think it will be a lot more and safer too. So I see the VFX industry as being one of the real people who are going to kind of grow after this, because we are not going to be using their companies only to create spectacles or create those VFX characters. We're going to be doing them even to create houses, even to create rooms, even to create simple things. We are going to do a lot of things that you've never imagined through VFX, also to be done through VFX. So I think that's going to happen.
Sure. So I will, Balki, take 2, 3 questions. There are a lot of little bit personal questions which I'll take at the end. I will take just 1 or 2 questions and we'll start winding down, because this is a 20-minute live formula
Sure.
which we work on. One question from Sukanya. She is connected to the education part of film industry. She's asking, do you see any lack of creativity in OTT platform? As producers, sure of getting the investment back?
No, I don't think there's a lack of creativity. I think we're slowly trying to figure out. Unlike television, what happened is, if you remember our television, we began with some of the most creative stuff. We began with Nukkad, Bunyad, all fantastic series, the classic cult series. That's how we began in this country. Can you imagine? And then we descended in television to depths that, in the name of catering to a lot of people, we descended quite a bit in terms of quality. But I think the OTT platform will not go through that kind of a stuff in India, because they have a lot of example, because you're not only seeing the Indian stuff, you're seeing a lot of things on the OTT stuff, Indian and the Western. So you're always kind of have a parameter to kind of compare yourself with. The rubbish ones do get filtered out, because anyway they're going to come as series or some other thing if people want to see them. So I think the OTT platform series is going to kind of jump like crazy to more and more solid and more creative, more and more different topics and more experimental topics, more and more. But finally, it's all about how entertaining, how riveting it is all about. It's never about just experimental topics or just things. It's all about the engagement factor.
So there are, a couple of questions. They want to know you as a person. So I thought I'll keep it at the end, because, you mentioned about reimagining the film industry, and you've covered a wide range of topics. Bhavesh is saying congratulations on completing the informational shoot with Akshay. When will we get to see it?
It's
Very
already on air.
excited
It's
to
on
see.
the. It
It's
was
on air. Okay.
long back. It's
Okay.
in the Arogya. If you go to the Arogya Setu app, it's there on it also.
Okay.
So I think
Okay.
about
Great.
some yeah.
So Jagdish is asking, what are you working on, Balki?
I finished writing something before the lockdown. During the lockdown, it's not something that I've been able to do. I think we've been working on, all of us have been working on different things except our work. So, so I've not done a lot of work during the lockdown, but I watched a lot. I've watched phenomenal number of stuff and read a lot.
So, since you're mentioning that, maybe I'll probe you a little bit more. Last 3 months, since you watched a lot and read a lot, is there something which you'd like to share with your viewers? Would you recommend
Oh
any
yeah,
particular? Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I would recommend a lot of people to, of course, if you want masala stuff, I would recommend people to watch Billions, the series on Hotstar. It's fantastic. But
Right.
I really have watched during this time, I've watched a lot of, I was not a big guy to watch all these old films. I never used to watch, I very rarely watched Dilip Kumar films. I've not watched Bimal Roy films. I don't even remember a lot of Shyam Benegal's work. I caught up on all of that. I don't think there's a greater filmmaker than Bimal Roy. I don't think there's a more progressive and evolved filmmaker than Shyam Benegal. I think I've seen some fascinating work, and I'm ashamed of myself for not studying them and kind of watching them with the kind of attention that they deserved, which I've done right now. I've watched all of Shyam Benegal films. I've watched all of Bimal Roy's films,
Wow.
and I
Okay.
think I couldn't have seen a better film festival than that in my life.
Okay, great. Hopefully, we'll see much more creativity. I'm just going to take last one or two questions. Jagdish is Patankar is saying that he has watched Nukkad, Bunyad, all this you mentioned. He's asking, where are those wonderful guys? Where have they disappeared? Wonderful creative people
Um,
who made
that
those
is
serials.
I don't know. Maybe they're doing something else, creative. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think Syed Mirza has done some fabulous work after that. Aziz Mirza has done a lot of stuff. Kundan Shah has done a
right.
lot of stuff after that. I'm sure they did a lot of films after.
So Suketu Shah is asking you to again repeat which are the serials you mentioned for Hotstar. You mentioned a billion, is it?
Yeah, there's fabulous stuff on Hotstar. There's Billions. There is Americans. All these are. I'm sure everybody would have watched it. They're older ones, which I missed it. And if you want to watch, uh, more sensitive stuff, there is Olive Kittredge. There is there's so many. There's so many. What am I watching right now on Netflix? We are watching. I'm sorry. There's so many other movies to watch on Mubi. If you want to watch some great movies, download the Mubi app. It's fabulous. In
Okay.
terms of series, I can't recollect immediately, but there's so much. If I could just put it on Hotstar, I'll tell you 15. But
Sure, sure, great. So let me wind this down by asking you one last question. Balki, if you're, reborn, would you want to have the same career as advertising and then films, or do you want to reverse films first? You have seen both the industries. Of course, you may say that you are in the same business of telling stories, but would you want it the reverse or in the same order?
no, I'd like to be a critic. I just love to watch films and do no work.
No, no, that means you'll want to be associated with the film industry in somehow as a critic.
I love watching films. If you just give me a bed and just give me films and cricket, I mean, I need cricket every now and then. Of course, without cricket, it becomes very boring. But if you just give me these two, I don't think I need a lot more in life.
Sure. So great. On closing thoughts, would you like to say anything to the audience? The industry is going through a lot of struggle, but more than that, if they have any closing comments, if you want to also share some anecdote from any of your past films, which might be interesting, just wrap up to our discussion would be helpful.
I'm not a great one for anecdotes, but I just request people as soon as the theaters open, uh, to come out and support it. Go to the theaters. Yes, we're all going to have to learn to live with this virus. We can't be living in fear of that stuff. So, as and when things open up, I'm sure everybody's going to take precautions. The theaters are going to take great precautions doing that. But let's go out and support it rather than living in fear, because we all need to support each other for each one of us to survive.
Thank you. That was a wonderful message. Let's
Pleasure.
go and support each other. Thank you, Balki. Thank you for
Pleasure.
coming on 20 Minutes Live. We are delighted you could join us. Thank you, viewers, for seeing this session of 20 Minutes Live. Every Thursday at 5 p.m., we bring 20 Minutes Live. And I was so happy today to hear all your comments of Balki. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Pleasure. See you.